WWE Crown Jewel is right around the corner, and a lot of fans have mixed emotions on this show. Some people are incredibly excited for it, and others are, well, not really that excited for it. And that's because a lot of people view Crown Jewel as a non-canon show. In fact, a lot of people see the WWE and Saudi Arabia partnership as something that they can miss. But I will say this, going into Crown Jewel this year, the card does look good, albeit a little underwhelming at times. This is centered around the Crown Jewel Championship for both the men's and women's division, so we got the Battle of Champions, which should be pretty neat, and there's also some heated feuds across the rest of the card, but we're gonna break it down, give my opinions, my thoughts, and everything that, I want to talk about here before Crown Jewel. But the big thing I should also mention is I am not able to go live this Saturday for Crown Jewel, so unfortunately I won't be able to react in live time to everything that happens. But what I will do is I will make a review on, I think, Monday morning talking about Crown Jewel. I'm still busy on Sunday. But anyways, you guys will get my thoughts about Crown Jewel. Okay, let's get into my predictions. So let's kick things off with the first of two Battle of Champions. It's Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan for the Saudi Arabian Crown Jewel Women's Championship. And the way that this match has been built in comparison to the men's side of the Crown Jewel Championship is kind of ridiculous. I mean, the men's championship is being paraded around in this locked trophy case, and then the women's title is just kind of there. In fact, they've barely touched on it in the entire build to Crown Jewel. They did have Liv Morgan and Nia Jax interact with each other. They did have Liv Morgan cost Nia Jax a match, but really this feud is incredibly lackluster and doesn't have a lot going for it at the moment. But with all that swept to the side, if we look at this from an in-ring perspective, I do think Nia Jax and Liv Morgan are going to go out there and crush it. Their styles should work really well together. But the problem is that they're both heels. If Liv Morgan was a babyface, this would be an incredibly well put together matchup. But the fact that they're heels is going to make it very difficult to choose one to root over the other. And when you have Liv Morgan and Nia Jax with the size difference that they do, it makes the match a little difficult to, I don't know, just expect anything out of other than it just being there. Now, I hope I'm really wrong, and I hope they go out there and crush it, but when you add in the Saudi Arabian crowd, who tends not to be the kindest to women's matches, and then you add in the heel and heel dynamic along with the lack of a build, this match has almost been set up for failure right out of the get-go. And that's not fair to Nia Jax, that's not fair to Liv Morgan, it's not fair to either of them in this feud. If there was some actual time and effort put into it outside of just one episode of Monday Night Raw and one episode of Friday Night SmackDown, we might be singing a different tune, but this is why it feels like it's a non-canon event. It's why a lot of people feel that they can miss the Battle of Champions. What's really on the line other than a championship that is only going to be held and displayed in Saudi Arabia? It's not even like it's a trophy that you get your name on the trophy. You get that title for a day, and then they just push it to the side and well, we'll see you next year. I don't know. Look, the feud has been not built too right in my opinion. I really do expect them to go out there and try their asses off, and I think that they're great talents, both Nia Jax and Liv Morgan, but dude, they're set up for failure, unfortunately. Now, there are a couple bright spots about this feud, though. They have focused on Tiffany Stratton and the idea that Tiffany could potentially cash in her Money in the Bank contract, and it could be on Liv Morgan. It could also be on Nia Jax, and if this does end up happening, then obviously this match is incredibly important for the future of WWE. I don't expect Tiffany Stratton to cash in her Money in the Bank on either Liv Morgan or Nia Jax, but the possibility is certainly there. As for the actual match, though, I see Rhea Ripley getting involved. I see them continuing to go down that lane of Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, and I imagine Rhea Ripley costs Liv Morgan the championship, and it could very well tease a future matchup once again between Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley over on SmackDown. But I do believe Rhea is going to allow Nia Jax to pick up the win. That'll continue the feud with Liv Morgan, and it gives Liv Morgan that out. And then also having Nia Jax be the first ever Women's Crown Jewel champion is not a bad call at all. Next up is Seth freaking Rollins versus Big Bronson Reed in what has been an excellent feud. These two guys have killed it the entire way with this thing. Right after Bronson Reed faced off against Braun Strowman in the last Monster Standing match, there was a question around what's going to happen next for this man. Is he viewed as a main event talent, or is he going to fall back down the card? And now this feud with Seth Rollins has absolutely cemented Bronson Reed as a almost almost main event talent. But in order for him to get over as a true main event talent, he needs to beat Seth Rollins. And that's exactly what I think is going to go down at Crown Jewel. See, this feud started out with Bronson Reed squashing Seth Rollins with 6 tsunamis, allowing Rollins to come back, costing Bronson Reed the match in the last Monster Standing match. It only makes sense for us to continue down the path of Bronson Reed being this absolute freak who can't be stopped, and Seth Rollins needs to take the L. Hell, I would even have Bronson Reed just go out there and squash Seth Rollins. Make this a true honest-to-God squash match where he just runs through him in 3 to 5 minutes. It would be incredible, and it would put Bronson Reed over on a whole other level. Now, I will admit this is fantasy booking, okay? This definitely is something I would like to see, but if we're being real here, it's probably not going to happen. This is probably going to be an opportunity for Seth Rollins to pick up a win over Bronson Reed in Saudi Arabia and get him back towards that world title picture. This feels like it could be a gateway for Rollins back into the main event scene, but if it's not, if they really want to get a new talent over, allow Bronson Reed to absolutely destroy Seth Rollins in this match. So it may be bold, it may be out there, but my official prediction is Bronson Reed picks up the dub. Now on to the women's tag team title matches. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defend their titles against Damage Control, the newcomers in Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, and then Chelsea Green and Piper Niven in a fatal 4-way match. There is so much talent in this matchup, but I am incredibly surprised that WWE actually booked this on the pay-per-view and not the night before. We know how Triple H loves to book the tag team titles the night before a PLE, but it didn't happen this time, and all 8 ladies get to go out there and do what they do best and tear the house down. I actually expect very, very big things from everybody in this matchup, but I'm really hoping that Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend get to stand out, because I, just like many of you, believe that they are the next women's tag team champions, and that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are pretty close to being done as champs. They're looking to elevate somebody for the future, and I don't think anybody is better suited than Jakara and Lash. But the coronation doesn't come here tonight. I imagine they're going to step it up in this matchup, come so close, but in the end, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are going to pick up the win. This could be a way to get the titles onto Damage Control, and maybe it's Damage Control versus Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. That's in the future, maybe some sort of triple threat. Who knows? They could even put the titles on Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, but I honest to God believe that it's going to be Bianca and Jade that continue to hold on to those titles, just because there's really nowhere else for them to go right now. They seem to be entrenched in the women's tag division, and the women's tag division does kind of need that star power, but hopefully they will be able to build up Lash and Jakara to the point that they are ready to take over the tag team titles and carry this women's tag division. But yeah, official prediction is that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defend their titles. Just stopping in here real quick to remind you that if you haven't checked it out already, be sure to check out our Patreon. There is lots of extra content over there for you, and if you like what I do on my YouTube channel, you are going to love what I do over on Patreon. One of the series that you're going to get every single week is called the Main Event Series, and what we do is we go back in time all the way to 1995 and start at In Your House #1, and we are watching through every WWF pay-per-view main event in chronological order to present day. And we're also tier ranking them, so by the end of it, we will see all the main event matchups in WWF history tier ranked in a nice little list from S to F. We're also doing a Lucha Underground watch along, which has just begun, so if you want to hop on this ride in real time, make sure you check out the Patreon today. We've also dropped a match club where once a week you are going to be able to vote on which matches I am going to watch, and whichever match wins in the poll, I will be checking out for all of you, doing a full entire watch along over on Patreon. Plus, you get early access to my podcast conversations and so much extra content over there that I just simply don't upload anywhere else. It is a great place to be if you enjoy the Con Man's content, so make sure you check it out, all for only $5 a month. It is an absolute steal, and if you like it for 1 month, I guarantee you're going to like it every month after that, so just keep checking out the Patreon. Link in the description below, and thank you very much for your continued support, whether you be just watching these videos or you're actually supporting us over on Patreon. Regardless, let's get back to the video. Now on to what is the most bitter feud on this entire card. It's Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, a battle of former tag team partners, and let me tell you something, Kevin Owens feels incredibly betrayed, and rightfully so. Through his eyes, he's never put his trust in anybody, not even his best friend like Sami Zayn. He never trusts anyone, and the moment that he finally does start to allow new people into his life, like a Cody Rhodes, like a Randy Orton. They go and pull shit like Cody Rhodes teaming with Roman Reigns and Randy Orton siding with Cody Rhodes. Like, I understand where Kevin Owens is coming from. He literally fought the bloodline for years, and now that Roman Reigns returns just because he's now a good guy, because he's no longer the tribal chief, everybody wants to jump onto his side. Kevin Owens remembers everything that happened, everything Roman and the bloodline did. They're not a good group of people. Dude, they out here just trying to destroy everybody else and lift only their family up, and everyone's like, yeah, I'll help you. I'll help you get back to that mountaintop where you manipulated everybody for years and years and years. No. Forget everything. Forget everything that you did. Forget all the people you destroyed, all the beatdowns that you did, everybody that you cost years of their career. No, forget about that, because all is fine now because he's the OTC. Kevin Owens sees through that BS. Why would he ever side with the bloodline? Why would Cody ever side with the bloodline? Why would Randy ever side with the bloodline? I get it, Kevin. Okay, I'm on your side. And not only that, when Randy Orton was trying to calm Kevin Owens down in the ring, he ended up punching him in the face. Like, I get it, Kevin Owens hit him with a back elbow, and that forced Randy Orton to snap, but can you imagine your supposed friend coming in and punching you in the face just because you accidentally hit him? Like, that's not a good friend in my eyes. But the fallout from all of that was that Kevin Owens was sent home, and apparently Randy Orton thought that KO was kept home by Triple H because Kevin Owens was being protected by Triple H. That's not the way that the game viewed this, as he views it as he is protecting Randy Orton from Kevin Owens. Now, I understand where Triple H is coming from here. Randy Orton did just get back from back surgery, and one thing that Kevin Owens is known for is targeting the back. For those of you that haven't seen when Kevin Owens was down in NXT, one of his most famous moments was him powerbombing Sami Zayn on the night he debuted in NXT. He lifted him up and slammed him up against the side of the ring. The hardest part of the ring, I might add. This was his introduction to WWE, and so the story goes that Kevin Owens' powerbomb can completely derail anybody's career at any given time, and now going into this match with Randy Orton, he has no remorse. He doesn't care about Randy. He wants to tear him apart, and that's a huge problem for Randy Orton, as he's got that bad back. And I honestly believe this is exactly what is going to happen in this matchup. At some point, Kevin Owens is going to powerbomb Randy Orton on the side of the ring, and that is going to change the complexion of the match, so much so that I think he might even do it a couple more times. Like, he might do 2, 3, 4 powerbomb to Randy Orton right on the side of the ring, roll him back in, and I do believe Kevin Owens is going to pick up the win with a pop-up powerbomb. That's the key right here. He's going back to that prize fighter character, or at least an evolution of it. He's going to win with a pop-up powerbomb. And with him destroying Randy Orton, that should set up Kevin Owens for an opportunity against Cody Rhodes at Survivor Series, which just so happens to take place in Canada. And every time that WWE comes to Canada, you know they need to feature Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn. Like, it just has to happen. And this is Kevin Owens getting a big opportunity against Cody Rhodes, I think, at Survivor Series. So we got to set it up for that. He has to pick up this win in order to go and face Cody Rhodes. It just makes sense. All the puzzle pieces come together. So my official prediction is that Kevin Owens wins and destroys Randy Orton in the process. Now on to the United States Championship matches. LA Knight, defends his title against Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. But how did we get here? So there was this thing called a best of 7 series between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, to which both of them won 3 matches each going into the final one. Game 7, as it's called. And it was a great series of matchups. Like, every single match cooked all the way up until the finals, which had LA Knight as the special guest referee. Now, along the way in this best of 7 series, they did have matchups against LA Knight. We had Carmelo Hayes versus LA Knight, to which LA Knight picked up the win, defending his US title, and then he also did the same against Andrade. So the person coming out of the best of 7 series would get an opportunity one more time at the champion. That was until, for no good reason, LA Knight decided to interject himself in this matchup, not remain being the special guest referee, not being impartial, and taking out both Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, and declaring himself the Game 7 winner for some damn reason. Yeah, that's not how that works. To me, this was a questionable move because it doesn't make me like LA Knight. I didn't actually think that this was a babyface move, and as a result, the GM, Nick Aldis, decided to, make him pay for it. He said, if you're going to interject yourself and you're going to cost us a #1 contender, then you might as well just take them both on. So that's how we got here to this triple threat match. Now, if the chemistry between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes is any indicator, this should be an absolute banger, because you add in that third element in the champion in LA Knight, and we should see a great matchup here. By the end of the night, we could be be talking about this as the match of the night as long as they get the chance to go out there, wrestle for maybe about 15 minutes or something like that, and get the chance to shine. Each and every one of them deserves a chance to shine in this match. I expect this to be the matchup where some pretty cool spots happen, whether it be some high-flying moves, a dope superplex out of the corner, maybe even going through an announce table at some point. This is going to be the match to watch for those high spots. And the idea of putting the United States title on Andrade or Carmelo Hayes is intriguing, especially considering the feud that they've had over the last little while, and it could actually elevate somebody else up the card and maybe allow LA Knight to move up the card even further. Maybe he could pursue the WWE Championship, maybe a move over to Monday Night Raw so he could pursue the World Heavyweight Championship. That could potentially happen, but I wouldn't bet on it, as my official prediction is LA Knight is going to retain this United States Championship. I don't see him moving up the card just yet. It feels too cluttered at the top of the card. There's just too many people on the babyface side of things vying for the titles. I just don't see it going down. Plus, the Saudi Arabian crowd loves LA Knight, so they're gonna give him a big win on the big stage. So I'm gonna lock in my answer. It is going to be LA Knight defending his United States Championship. Now that leaves us here with two matches left. We've got the main event, which I presume is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the Crown Jewel Championship, and then we have this other match that has been announced on WWE.com, but I don't necessarily want to get right into it without giving you the proper spoiler warning. This is going to talk about something that happens on Friday Night SmackDown, which has been pre-taped. So if you don't want to know any of that, fast forward about 5 minutes into this video and you should be on the main event for Cody Rhodes and Gunther. Now that the spoiler warning is out of the way, let's talk about it as we have the Bloodline. That's right, the OG Bloodline. Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso. It's happening. The band's back together as they take on the Timu Bloodline of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. A 4-on-3 handicap match, but it's going down. Now, I will admit, I am recording this before Friday Night SmackDown does happen. I've seen the graphics on WWE.com, and I've seen a couple things pop up on my Twitter feed, but outside of that, I have avoided spoilers at all costs. So I don't know how this forms. I don't know exactly how they get together again, but we do know that Jey Uso is going over to Friday Night SmackDown to speak to Roman Reigns, so I'm assuming something's going to happen in that segment that's going to lead to the Bloodline getting back together. But as for the actual matchup, with it being a 4-on-3 handicap match, there's two things that could potentially happen in my eyes. The first thought is that Sami Zayn is somehow going to be the fourth member of this tag team. Somehow Sami Zayn is going to be in Saudi Arabia and he is going to talk to Roman there. He's going to talk to Jimmy or Jay or whatever and say that if you need a fourth member, I've got you. They might say no. They might say we don't need you out there or something like that, but I do think Sami Zayn is going to offer up his services. And so he's either going to be in the actual match as the fourth member, or he's going to directly lead to Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso picking up the win over the Timu Bloodline. And I believe this is the proper direction for Sami Zayn as he gets to prove himself once again that he is that honorary Uso. We saw him talking to Solo Sikoa on Monday Night Raw, and there's a lot of questions about where is Sami Zayn's allegiance right now. Does he side with the new Bloodline? Does he side with the old Bloodline? Does he not side with anybody? Is he on Kevin Owens' side where he's just like F the Bloodline and F everybody involved? Like, who knows where Sami Zayn actually aligns right now? But with War Games on the horizon, I do think Sami Zayn is going to be the final member of that War Games match on Roman Reigns' team, so we got to get there somehow. And so I do believe that Sami Zayn is going to allow Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso to pick up this win over the new Bloodline. He's somehow going to get involved. He's going to cost the new Bloodline. I see it happening from a mile away. But I guess the other option is that Sami Zayn could potentially cost Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso the match in Saudi Arabia. He could potentially cost them the match at Crown Jewel. It could go down. Like, who knows what Solo Sikoa said to him on Monday Night Raw. Maybe he said, hey, if you do this for me, you'll be an honorary use of my Bloodline. But let's just admit it, we don't want to see that. We want to see Sami Zayn back together with the OG Bloodline. So make it happen. Allow Sami Zayn to get involved and allow Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso to pick up the win. That's the right call here. Plus, then that is just such an easy way to get to War Games. So if that's the War Games match, I'm here for it. And then on to what I believe is going to be the main event of Crown Jewel. It's Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the Crown Jewel Championship. This new championship has been presented in such a grand way that it would be almost impossible for it not to be the main event of the night, even with on the card. Like, they have highlighted Cody and Gunther multiple times over. They keep presenting this championship being brought out with dudes wearing gloves, treating it like it's the Stanley Cup. They are going all in on this title. And if it doesn't main event, well, then I think you can just right here say that that championship means nothing. So it has to be the main event at least. It's such a stark contrast to how they are building up the women's crown jewel matchup. So like, if they really want this title to be a mainstay and they want crown jewel to be a battle of world versus WWE champions every single year, then they need to make it feel like a big deal, and it has to be the last match to go on. But in saying that, I still don't really care about this match. Like, Cody Rhodes versus Gunther, definitely going to be an intriguing matchup on paper, but do I care who's going to be the crown jewel champion? Does it change anything moving forward? For me, not really. I mean, Cody Rhodes is still going to be the WWE champion, Gunther is still going to be the world heavyweight champion, and they still have their own individual stories going on the side. So like, this is just a bragging rights match. It really doesn't have that much meaning. That being said, I do think that this offers an opportunity to further some stories from either Cody Rhodes or Gunther. And the one that I would suspect that gets furthered is Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Like, if Kevin Owens really wants to get Cody Rhodes heated, if he wants Cody Rhodes' attention, he absolutely should cost him this match. He should cost Cody Rhodes the opportunity to be the first ever crown jewel champion. On the flip side of things, we could have somebody interfere and cost Gunther the championship. And there's a lot of rumors out there that there could or could not be the appearance of a certain Goldberg. Now, I'm not a big Bill Goldberg fan by any means, but if he did cost Gunther this championship, if it allowed Cody Rhodes to be the first ever crown jewel champion, and it gave Gunther something to go off of, like, it could be a decent enough match. But I will be real, I think it's the last thing I actually want to see. The more I thought about it, for a minute there, I was on team, hey, let's do Gunther versus Goldberg, and like, it still sounds like a cool match on paper, but then I remind myself, all of the Goldberg matches that we have watched over the years, it's not something we really want to see. But there is that possibility. Bill could cost Gunther the matchup and Cody Rhodes could win the championship. At the end of the day, I do think they're building up Gunther in a huge way. They want to make Gunther seem like the most important character and the most important wrestler that they've had come through the business in a long time. They're really trying to build him up. So when there's a championship that doesn't have really any real implications in the WWE and it's more so just a bragging rights trophy, I would put the title on Gunther. I would have Gunther be the first ever crown jewel champion. Now, in saying that, I did predict Nia Jax to win the women's championship, so they could go in a different direction where they don't want everything to be heat related. It's not like they always want the bad guy to win the championship, so they could move in the direction of Cody Rhodes beating Gunther, and it would elevate Cody Rhodes in another way. But look, at the end of the day, it probably should be Gunther walking out with this championship. It also could create some adversity for Cody Rhodes, and we know that WWE loves adversity for the Rhodes family, so that could be a direction that they move in as well. But Gunther walking out the crown jewel champion just feels right. It just feels like it's made for him, and seeing Cody Rhodes hold on to that championship even for one night doesn't interest me at all. Final answer: Gunther wins the Crown Jewel Championship. But those are my predictions for Crown Jewel. Let me know yours down in the comments below. And just one more reminder that I won't be live this Saturday with the PLE. I will make that review video afterwards as soon as I can, but don't look for my live stream. Go hang out with anybody else. There's lots of great streamers out there, whether it be Mini Portable, Santi Zap, Wheezy Blonde, Mr. Tesh, you name it. There's so many great people out there to definitely go check out and hang out with this Saturday. So make sure you do so. But thanks again for watching. Make sure you leave that like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn those notifications on. Check out my Patreon. Check out my Twitter. Check out all my other videos that I got going on my channel. And we'll see you guys soon. Enjoy Crown Jewel.